accelerations. This story was possibly adopted and translated into English by 624, that is, me, but it may. It may contain some translation errors in things like character names, setting, kids, or it may contain verse. In some character itself, and for example, sometimes it is referred to as she even though the name is masculine or is masculine in itself. I don't understand the story's reaction, but it could confuse more than W. That's why I'm clarifying it. I also want to remind you that while watching this video, you can comment with your own story or any other story you know in the comments. Whether it's from Avanoodle, Jello Academia, Dragon Ball, Naruto, which one? Okay, I'll keep an eye out and check them out to see if they're suitable for the channel. That's all. More effeminate made, let the video begin. Enjoy? Error created by Cliticutum, adapted to video and translated by Zeus. History 2024. Leave me alone, Kakon, yelled a boy with green hair. Tears. Eyes ran down his smooth, freckled face as he stared at his tormentor, fear in his eyes. Katsuki Bakugo was the torturer, his former childhood friend. He decided he would not be friends with the poor man. Izuku, after developing his quirk, was too strong to be seen with someone weaker. And why should he be? You're not more than just a useless cute. Bakugo spat as he launched his explosions at Midoriya. Midoriya held out his hands. He was prepared for the heat of the explosion, but when he opened his eyes, the explosion was frozen in action. Huh, what? What did you do, Deku? Bakugo shouted as he ran towards the boy and grabbed him by the collar. I don't know. I'm dizzy. Everything went dark. Poor Midoriya fainted at that very moment, after he made the same explosion that he sent. Bakugo returned to action, attacking Bakugo instead of the frail, years-old child. Leave him alone. Bakugo is just a weakling. Let's play tag, yelled one of Bakugo's thugs. Humph. Good. Poor Midoriya didn't wake up until it got dark. His mother, Ino Midorilla, became worried and drove to the park where she found her sunshine sitting there. Concerned, he picked him up and took him to the hospital to see what had happened to cause him to faint. He hadn't woken up even after she tried, so she was worried, like any mother would. Commodoria? A doctor asked, indicating that he should leave. He quickly got up from his seat and she rushed to the room to see what the doctor had to say about Izuku. She sat beside her son and listened to the doctor. It seems his gift has finally activated. I don't know exactly what it is since she fainted. Don't worry, she should wake up in the morning. This is what it usually happens after a child develops their gift. However, it's usually when it's a powerful gift, so be careful until you figure out exactly what it is. Be careful with him. Here are your papers. You're free to take your son and go home. Inko nodded, then took. He went to his son and went home. The next day, Midoriya woke up feeling strange. He ignored it and she went to the bathroom, but was surprised by what she saw in the mirror. Her eyes were red and turquoise. Her pupils seemed to have glitches. She ran down the stairs in complete shock. Mom, Mom, she screamed. Inko panicked and ran towards her. Son, what's wrong, honey? My eyes. What's wrong with your eyes? They've changed. It's colored and looks like it's malfunctioning. What's happening? Should.H, calm down, darling. The doctor said it's your gift that's kicking me. My Kirk, yes, he's finally here. What is it? Izuku exclaimed. He was ecstatic. The boy had been longing for and patiently waiting for a KIR ever since he discovered a pro hero. All power. She loved Almig with a burning passion. His ability to save those in need. To be strong and triumph. He was everything Izuku wanted. We don't know yet, dear. It seems he has something. It has nothing to do with a failure. Considering the state of your eyes, have breakfast and go to school. You'll find out. Fine. Stubbornly, she got dressed and ate breakfast. And she went to school. However, when she arrived there, she received strange looks. I knew why. It was his eyes. They looked different. Ugh, Deku. What's wrong with your eyes? Eyes? Bakugo shouted in dismay as he backed away from the boy as if he had the plague. Migan appeared. I still don't know what it is, but according to Mom, it will be very strong, Midoriya exclaimed. TSK, your quirk won't be that strong. Deku, you're a weakling and outcast. Nobody likes you. Bakugo hissed as he threw. Another explosion. Midoriya raised his hands again to defend himself, but this time, instead of stopping the explosion completely, it went to another location and exploded in another place. What? Damn it, Deku. Stop doing that. Bakugo growled as he ran towards Midoriya. Midoriya stepped back and shuddered violently, hoping he was somewhere else. He didn't want to get hurt. However, when he opened his eyes, he was no longer facing Bakugo, he was facing on the other side of the room. How did you do that? Bakugo yelled. Calm down, Bakugo. This is a preschool, not a playground, the teacher warned as she approached Midoriya. Hello, dear Izuku. I know you're new to this, and that this is the first time you've experienced your quirk, but do you think you can control it for today? Thank you. Midoriya stared at her, dumbfounded. He didn't know how. Controlling that gift, whatever it was. In fact, he didn't even know how he did it. Later that day, her mother decided it would be best if she went to get a peculiarity test with a doctor to find out exactly what it was. Midoriya was forced to undergo a series of tests where Sir, they finally figured out what it was. Very good, ma'am. It seems your son has a powerful gift. As I anticipated, here is a document that details it. Exactly. The doctor handed the paper to Ino while reading it aloud so that Izuku heard it. Izuku Midoriya's KIR failed. This quirk allows him to. The user can fail wherever they want and fail features as they please. With this, the user can pause features, rewind peculiarities, fast-forward peculiarities, extinguish peculiarity completely, and move and exit from the peculiarity to another place. The drawback, however, is mild. If used excessively, the user may experience some unusual effects. Extreme migraines. 1. A peculiar failure occurs when the user's peculiarity activates on its own and does what it can do. Vomiting, fainting, and a fault-ridden experience where they will see fault lines around their body and they will feel it. These drawbacks will only occur if the quirk is overused, so don't overdo it. This is a powerful quirk. Use it for good. And be careful, Inko. He read. Izuku beamed with excitement. This quirk was so much better than Bakugo's. Can I recommend something? What? Asked the doctor. With a peculiarity as strong as yours, you should include him in this program. It will train him to be the best of the best. He'll come out a hero of first. Of course, it's your decision, but this is the best one. Everything that will happen. It's explained in this document. The doctor handed her another document. He read it aloud so Izuku could hear it again. Hero Admission Agency for the best of the best. Children with strong quirks deserve the best opportunity to become heroes. So register them here. It's completely free. The child will receive physical training, mental training, training to use his gift, learning to be a hero, and he will go to the UA. The child will stay in a residence where everything will be provided, and you can see him once a week if the child so desires. He wants to. Don't miss this opportunity. Izuku jumped for joy. He wanted to go. Can I go, Mom? Inko looked at her son, a little worried. He was only years old. It was a big decision that could and would change her life forever. Please, she begged. Inko sighed. Well, no. There doesn't seem to be any risk, and this would be a good opportunity. So if that's what you want, then I suppose I could. Register. Yes, thank you, ma'am. You won't regret it. Just sign this paper, and from now on, he'll be registered. They'll come to pick him up this Friday. Okay. Ino signed the papers. The doctor quickly put the paper in an envelope and sealed it. Okay, ma'am. Make sure you pack your son's things. They left the office and returned home. Migorilla was beaming with enthusiasm. He was so excited that a slight tremor was visible in his seat. When they arrived home, and Inko packed all her things. What she didn't know was that it would be useless. When Friday arrived, Mairiya said his final goodbyes to his mother and Bakugo, and they took him away forever. When he arrived, things weren't as he expected. They sent him to his room and also stole all his belongings. The room was terrifying. There were metal bars covering the outside of the windows were like prison bars, and the walls were a sickly gray. There was a bright ceiling light, too. Small single beds in opposite corners of the room with black sheets, a wooden desk in front. He had a wardrobe to the left of the desk and a bathroom in a separate room within the bedroom. Midoriya was only allowed to have his one figure, a figure of all. They forced her to wear a strange bracelet. She never knew why, but she knew that every time she wore it, she wouldn't be able to use his gift. The first day he was there, things didn't go as he wanted. While they were getting acquainted, another person entered, his roommate. He had eyes, golden yellow in color, with dirty blonde hair and large red bird wings. He was years older than little Midorilla. Ah, it seems you were too. They've thrown you into this hellhole. Well, get comfortable, you're not going to like it. Stay on your side of the room, and I suppose we can get to know each other, said the young girl. Migorilla plopped down on her bed, and she sighed. Fear began to settle in her heart. You can call me AUX. That's what everyone around here calls me. I was sent here years ago, just like you. I suppose. Mikan is being able to fly and manipulate my feathers. Now then, who? Is that you? I'm Izuku Midoriya. It's my first day here. Mikan's name is Glitch. I can glitch gifts and get to places. I guess that's why they forced you to use the gang. You'd have the easiest way to escape, since you can practically teleport yourself. I suppose. I'll tell you how things are. Don't expect me to sugarcoat them. We're like this. Government pets. What that paper in the doctor's office said was a complete lie. You'll never see your mother again and to no one else in your life. You're trapped here for the rest of your life. And no, everyone gets out of here alive. What do you mean? Midoriya exclaimed as the tears began to stream down her face. The training you'll undergo is unlike anything you've ever experienced, seen before. It will be like living through hell. If you manage to get out alive, the things will get increasingly difficult. Poor child. I'll never see him again. Mom. Migorilla choked as she began to sob. Shoo. They don't like people who cry. You'll be punished. See you. If they catch you crying, you'll go through the punishment system. August shuddered at the mention of it. Question, why don't they like weak people? They'll beat you to death. Not here. You can't show your emotions. If you do, it's like asking to be hurt. Keep a low profile and don't call too much attention on the first day. Okay. Migorilla, despite saying, after hearing what she said, she couldn't hold back her tears. She just sighed and lay down. His bed, ready to sleep. There was nothing else to do. Poor Midoriya. He had no idea what he'd gotten himself into. The next morning, Midoriya woke up abruptly to an alarm. A loud crash echoed through her room. She felt her heart leap out of her chest as she got out of bed. What's wrong? I shouted. He sighed. You'll get used to it eventually. It's a wake-up call. Every morning to make sure we all wake up prepared. Get dressed. But the sun doesn't even. You already. You got up. Yes, I know. I told you weren't going to like this place. You better start getting used to it. Okay. AUX threw some clothes to Midoriya. It was a shirt and pants. Gray. AUX was wearing the exact same outfit. She dressed quickly and... He continued. Scared, he no longer knew what was happening. His whole world had collapsed. When he got out, the first thing he saw was other children wearing the same clothes and who were also coming out of their rooms. Follow me, kid. This place is like a labyrinth. Aside as she grabbed Midoriya's wrist. Midoriya remained. He approached her and followed AUX up a long staircase. At the bottom, he found a cafeteria. Everything was so bleak, colorless, empty. Everything was gray, black, and white. The walls were gray, the tables were gray, the floors were black, the ceiling lights were white. It was like a prison. The Hawks lined up and ate breakfast. Midoriya too. He took something. He took it to where he usually sat. Who's that idiot AUX? Another older boy asked. He was wearing bandages. He had spiky white hair with red streaks and blue eyes. And he was also wearing the same gray suit. Toya Todoroki, he's my new partner. 4th grade. Oh, Aru, you knew. Yes, I knew. It was. AUX lowered her gaze to the ground, hiding her remorse. They were trained not to show it. Emotions. If they did, they would be punished. AUX didn't want to show her growing emotions. Sadness. What's your name, idiot? Izuku Midoriya. Get rid of that. Stutter if you don't want to receive severe punishment from your superiors. Okay. Midoriya dove into his breakfast. It wasn't the best. It was. It was packed with protein and vitamins. It didn't taste great, but I was starving and that was all I had. Offer. Eat quickly, we don't have much time. Midoriya hurried to eat and just as an announcement was heard. Now go to your training rooms. Come on, kid. Considering that they grouped up with me, we have the same coach. AUX said. Midoriya nodded. He nodded and followed AUX up the stairs. Toya followed him too. The system. It was organized in such a way that those who belonged to a particular sect had coaches. Specific. People attended different mushroom ceremonies based on their potential gift and their strength. AUX, Toya, and Midoriya belonged to the same sect, the highest ranking, the worst sect to be in. Even though the three of them were on the top floor, they were still inside the building. Midoriya clung to AUT as if he would die without him. To align himself. Formation. Someone shouted as they came out of the training room. They were wearing a gray t-shirt and pants. However, his clothes looked more like training gear than what the children had been given. He was their instructor, the superior. Migorian knew it was the formation and refused to let go of AUX. Bye. That's it. Why didn't you force the boy to leave? I'm sorry, sir, it's new. And don't answer me. The superior took out a remote control and pressed it, pointing at the Hawks. Electric cackling was heard on AUX's back. Near his wings, he fell to the ground, holding back tears. Midoriya. She looked fearfully. It was her fault. Who are you, and what is your gift? I hadn't seen you. This way first. The superior snapped. There were a total of children in the room. Midoriya swallowed, a lump forming in his throat. I'm Izuku. Midoriya. Midden. Glitch. And what does this Kirk do? I can pause, rewind, generate glitches, and sending peculiar outputs elsewhere. What do you mean by failure? I suppose you could call it teleportation. Oh, so you're the problem. Raised it at yesterday's meeting. Come with me now. Migorilla held back. The tears streamed down her face as she followed the terrifying man toward the teacher's lounge. All the other children there knew what he was doing. That's what awaited poor Midoriya. AUX finally finished being electrocuted. She slowly got up and groaned. You can't worry about that idiot as much as you do. You were worried about Aru. It doesn't look like he'll get out of there alive, Toya said. I know. They tied Midoriya to a chair and blindfolded him. Tears began to stream down his face as he felt a needle being forcefully injected into his shoulder. A chip had been implanted. After that, she felt something around her neck. An electroshock collar. It was like a dog. They removed his blindfold and the quirk canceller while pushing him along with the rest of the children. Your assigned name will now be Matrix. Since your quirk is a glitch, that works fine. AUX, I hope you like it. Explain the protocol of how everything works here, since you're his roommate. Understood? Yes, sir. Good. Now Matrix aligns with the rest exactly as AUX is. AUX had his arms behind his back and was standing upright like everyone else. Migorilla ran to his side and imitated him as best as he could. Matrix, since you're new here, I need you to show off your gift completely. You said you can change the exit of Tuden and teleport, right? That's right, sir. Then come to my side right now. Migoriya closed his eyes and concentrated. She really didn't want to stand next to that man, but what choice did she have? A mist of blue, red, and white enveloped her. It struck while moving next to the man. I understand why the doctors called it a failure. Pyrrha, send your call the boy. Okay. Toya sighed as she removed the bandages. Midoriya swallowed hard as he watched his superior push him forward. At the same time, Toya launched its raging flames. Migorilla focused on the flames and stopped them completely. He was frozen in midair, with flaws. White, red, and blue markings ran through the fire as Midoriya held it. Paused. Interesting. Can you do that to people, or is it just for you? Are there peculiar results? The doctor said that the peculiar one only produces stuttering before I'll force you to get rid of her, the superior threatened. Fine, sir. What else? Can you do it? This Migoriya concentrated the fire and diverted it to another place. On the other side of the room, away from everyone, he could see the surprised face of AUX, as well as that of the other boys present. I can too. Migoriya rewound them. He heated it until it was reduced to a small flame, keeping it contained. Then he demonstrated that the fire was growing, quickly moving it back into place after turning it off completely. Okay, now I see why they brought you into this cult. Go back to the training, mother. The superior hissed. Migorilla shuddered and failed alongside AUX. Now, since everyone knows what their gift does, I don't see any reason for any of you to ask questions. Now, let's begin with the exercises. Push-ups, pull-ups, Russian twists, plank for minutes, jogging in place for minutes, and abdominal exercises. No breaks. If someone takes a break, more will be added for everyone. And Inko said that Deku was taken to a hero admissions agency to be trained as a hero because of his gift, but that means he has a stronger gift. That's not possible. And the aunt. Inko didn't say she'd keep coming to school. What's wrong? Bakugo thought. It was the first time Midoriya wasn't at school, and everything was strangely quiet. Bakugo didn't have anyone with him. Whoever was bothering him, however, was furious. How did Deku get from among them? Everyone was chosen for something so great, so naive that they didn't have. Did you have any idea what was happening to poor Midoriya? Midoriya was exhausted after she did the first 10 push-ups, but they didn't let her rest. She didn't want to be a burden to the rest of the class, so he continued. However, once he reached the plank, he fainted. The intense training was a shock to his underdeveloped body. After all, he was years old. Because of who fainted, the other one who had to do a few more minutes of push-ups and a few more minutes of everything else, while they carried him from. She returned to her room to rest. However, things wouldn't be that different. They would have been easy for him when he woke up. People already disliked Midoriya. His weakness had made him like that. Nobody likes a dwarf. After the intense bodyweight training, everyone else split up to do their own personal training. Most intense of all, Abe blindfolded him and put him in a room completely filled with cement. He had to shoot the darts on the move with his feathers based on what he could hear. After training, so for so long, I already knew how to do it, but it required immense concentration. Aliyah was ordered to send full bursts of her flames at their highest point toward an absorbing carpet. Peculiarities. It hurt him, the flames burned him, but he couldn't do anything about it. The other children had their own training. After the ordeal that lasted for hours, everyone was sent to their rooms and given food. Toya likes to hang out in AUX's room. I didn't have the nicest roommate. It's this jerk's fault we had one. Doing those extra things, she complained. You were literally the same when you arrived. Here, Toya, give the boy a break. We can't. You know what's going to happen in the moment he wakes up. I know, but there's not much we can do. Midoriya's eyes snapped open, and his whole body ached. He looked around and saw. Toya looked at him with a slight remorse and concern in his eyes. It was difficult to understand. Matrix, proceed to the isolation chamber. A loudspeaker sounded in the room. Ostrego saliva. He had received that. He punished me several times. He was the worst. Good luck, kid. You'll need it. He sighed. Toya watched Midoriya leave through the door. Immediately after leaving in the room, two large adults dragged him to the isolation chamber on the floor below. Midoriya was thrown in there completely alone. There was nothing in the room, just cement with a vent for oxygen. Your punishment for not completing the exercises will be a more intense workout in this room under electric shocks, so that when you return to with regular training, your body is already prepared to withstand worse conditions. You will receive small rations of food, and you will not be able to see anyone for a whole week until your superior tells you to. Consider yourself ready to return to your regular training. Your quirk won't work here. After that last one. Note, Migorilla felt an electric shock around her neck. It was hot and painful. She wasn't the only one. The electric shock you received. The collar tightened as more shocks were sent through the Midoriya's system. Midoriya shouted for help, but it was useless. No one. I could see him, hear him, or even help him. He was trapped. Now immense. Survives the water. Starting now. The room in which Midoriya quickly began to fill with water. The water began to fill the room. Midoriya looked. He stared at the vent that pumped the water. And, no, I'm not going to die high. Midoriya tried to activate his quirk, but it was cancelled. He couldn't break free. The zapping hadn't stopped. She felt her neck redden as she floated slowly. The water level rose rapidly. The water worsened the electrical discharge. She could feel it all over her body instead of just in the area around her neck. Help! Someone, please! He shouted as he submerged. He couldn't swim, Midoriya no longer. He could breathe. Furthermore, Spin was wasting his oxygen and fainted. In the water. Hey, this one won't die. His gift is too useful for that. Pull him out, he hissed. A superior officer watched Midoriya from a one-sided window. Although the room seemed, it was made entirely of cement, just a thin layer. Behind the cement was a window. They could see through it. They controlled everything that happened to him inside the room. Good. The water. The drained, revealing Midoriya soaked. A worker entered and drained the water from him. Of the lungs and cured him with a gift. Migorilla was breathless when he awoke. The superior who helped him. She slapped him and locked him back in the room. He started trembling in place. The water wasn't the warmest. Punishment done. Immense punishment. Surviving the flames. That wasn't the only punishment, Midoriya shouted as the temperature in the room rose dramatically. The water on her skin evaporated and she began to. I was sweating. The air became thicker. I couldn't breathe. It was worse than water. She felt like her skin was practically being baked. The moisture in her skin was completely absorbed. It only lasted minutes, but it felt like an eternity. When it was over, Midoriya was dying of thirst. His lips. They were cracked, the skin was burned and scabbed over, and she could feel her mouth was dry. Punishment. Complete. Immense punishment. Surviving the cold. Please stop. Midoriya screamed as the temperature dropped. He began to shiver in his seat. I was about to faint. I couldn't take it anymore. But just before fainting, her temperature rose again. Punishment served. The isolation training starts now. What's that? Poor Midoriya, no. He had some idea of what awaited him. For the rest of that week, Midoriya performed a series of exercises. Super intense, much more intense than those he did during normal classes. Toya and A even doubted that. Was alive. He was a frail, years-old boy who didn't seem capable of much of a fight. Midoriya went through simulations of extreme cold. His superiors were making him tolerant to extreme temperatures. They even taught him to swim. He was taught to hold his breath for long periods of time. They taught him to endure the pain. They showed him the formations suitable for the regular class, and they intensified them. It was all intentional without being intentional. They wanted him to be tolerant and better at these things, but at the same time, it was an intentional punishment that he himself, Midoriya, had to learn to tolerate. Isolation chamber session ended. Go back to your room right now. Midoriya hid his excitement. He learned to. He did it with great difficulty. 2 guards marched in, grabbed him, dragged him down the stairs, and they threw him into his room. August's eyes widened when he saw Midoriya. Wow, you actually managed that. Survive? Midoriya groaned as he struggled to his feet. She put on her pajamas and got into bed. She clutched Olm's figure tightly. They had removed the gift canceller, but he still had the tracking chip. They would find him wherever he went. If he failed, he would receive an even worse punishment. Midoriya began to move in his. He stood there, startled, staring in shock. Midoriya appeared to have witnessed a bloody murder. Toya was there too. He was also shocked that Midoriya would manage to survive. Well, you did survive. I don't know if that's good or bad for you, because things only get more difficult after this point. Seriously? Midoriya whispered desperately. Toya simply nodded. Midoriya held back his tears. He couldn't let himself be caught crying again. No. When she cried in the isolation chamber, things got more serious. I noticed Midoriya's neck. The area around the collar was stiff and raw. It looks like you received more shocks than usual. They don't usually give you a shock so intense that it leaves your skin raw. It smells really bad, Midoriya said. Her eyes were watery, but she didn't let the tears flow. She couldn't. She didn't want to go back. We're in the same boat, buddy. I showed the back of his wings. She had 2 shock collars at the base of her wings, cuffed near her back. Me too. Toya got off. The shirt that covered his neck revealed an electric collar he was also forced to wear. Why? Why? Why are they doing this to us? We're just children, Midoriya asked sadly. We are the weapons of the future government. They want us to be perfect. They only cursed you with a powerful gift. That's all. Toya sighed. But my friend has a strong quirk, but it wasn't forced to come here. What's peculiar about it? Explosions. The doctor must have thought that. She wasn't as strong as her name suggests. Or perhaps her mother was just strong enough, smart enough not to send his son to receive government training. They told me I'd see Mom. When will I ever see her? Never. They're going to bring A. He changes his ways to take your place. Accept it, kid. You're trapped here for the rest of your life. And Midoriya was about to rant, but AUX sent him his pen. He silenced him by muting his mouth while telling him to remain quiet. He pointed to the wall, specifically a cable, an interception cable to listen to all your conversations. We're being constantly monitored. Don't say anything stupid. They're watching us change. No. Interestingly, they give us physical privacy, but they don't let us talk about certain topics. That necklace you're wearing. It will deliver a shock every time the listening device detects something you shouldn't be talking about. So, be quiet. Midoriya sighed and nodded. Take this. It's a pen. It'll help you defend yourself against the other kids. Wait, why am I worried about the other kids? Midoriya. She grabbed the pen and held it tightly. After you fainted a week ago, that day's training was. It intensified. As your superior warned you, you can say that you've already become a target for others. Guys, you made them work harder. The higher-ups don't care if we fight, argue, or even kill each other. Here, it's practically the law of the jungle. Strong. If another child manages to kill another child, the superiors consider it as. That's normal, since the child was too weak to survive. Those boys won't hesitate to hit you until you pass out. They're always looking for a new topic. Fight and you'll have to succeed to survive here, AUX explained. And how will your pen help you? The other children around here are afraid of Toya and me because we belong to the upper sect and we are the best of the class. We fight with them a lot. If you blow on that feather, I'll appear on stage. Furthermore, the feather is sharp. You can use it like a dagger. Why me? Help? If only the fittest survive here, then you don't have to leave me behind. Midoriya croaked. You're new. It would be cruel if we left you to go through this alone. Although this is a place where even murders are kept secret, in the end we are training to be heroes. I don't like this place at all, but I still want to save people, AUX replied. Thank you. Unlike AUX, I'm not like that. My father forced me to come. They forced me to be a hero. I'd rather be something else, especially after seeing firsthand how corrupt this system is. No, I'm going to support this system, so don't expect me to save you if you need help. Got it, idiot? Understood? Midoriya grabbed the pen and put it in his pocket. He didn't want to lose it. An alarm sounded in his room. Midoriya. She had heard so much in the isolation chamber that she no longer even flinched. She had been expecting it. I suppose that. It's dinner time. Good luck, idiot. Toya left with AUX. Midoriya followed him. He watched closely, bracing for the worst. After what the two of them had just said, he was afraid of everything. A place that's supposed to train us to be heroes is more villainous than heroic. Why is this allowed? Murder? Why do we fight each other to survive? Why are we being tortured? Midoriya thought. He felt everyone's harsh stares on him. They wanted to hit him, but at that moment, he was with the Hawks and Toya, and they still couldn't do anything. Midoriya ate his dinner and headed to his table. Obzea were at the end of the line. Midoriya had slipped to the front without anyone noticing. However, before she could reach her table, the food was snatched from her hand. She looked around and saw a group of students surrounded him, ready to beat him mercilessly. It's because you're weak, a child shouted. It sounded like an army call because immediately everyone started attacking. Midoriya glitched out of the way and ran off, drawing. He quickly called Ayu's pen for help. However, his glitch didn't work. It would do no good in her situation. The whole cafeteria was bloodthirsty. In the worst case scenario, his own. Someone sent him a laser beam and being. Quickly, Midoriya fired the laser at the crowd chasing him. They dispersed rapidly as Midoriya ran through the cafeteria, but his weak body wasn't going to help him get out of this. He was stuck and couldn't. He could move. He blew on the feather as hard as he could, while his face and body were beaten until he was unconscious. Unconscious, crashing against the walls and the floor. "Please stop," Midoriya shouted as he tried to escape, but his quirk didn't work. Someone had a quirk that canceled out the quirk. Never learn your place, you idiot. Nobody ever taught you how not to be weak. Enough. AUX spat out as she hurled her feathers like daggers at the crowd fishing for Midoriya. Moose, why are you protecting him? It's his fault we had to do all that extra training. He's old, then. Attack. The crowd surged toward AUX. AUX sighed and spread her wings, throwing his pen at them, plunging it into their sides. That won't be enough to stop us. Yes. How about this? Toya shouted as she unleashed her inferno of flames. Run! The crowd dispersed, not wanting to be burned by Toya's murderous flames. Midoriya was panting nearby. AUX. The thugs had broken one of his ribs with the force of slamming him to the ground. Well, this isn't right. AUX sighed. Let's go to the infirmary. Midoriya was lifted up by AUX's feathers led him to the hospital room. Toya followed him. Despite his coldness and rude attitude, he felt affection for the idiot. He strangely reminded him of himself when he first arrived. Oh, looks like they caught him. The nurse began. AUX nodded as she rested Midoriya in the hospital bed. I'll get to work. You two go have dinner. I'm going to work. You two go have dinner, the nurse said. AUX. She nodded and left with Toya, leaving little Midoriya behind. With the nurse, she approached him and examined him. This isn't good. The poor thing. The child will not survive if he is not strengthened. 3 broken ribs, bruises from everywhere, burns, scrapes, and blood. Migan should help him. The nurse reached over Midoriya's head and began treating him. The whistling subsided as all the bruises slowly disappeared. He was completely healed. Thank you, she said as she straightened her hair. Don't mention it, darling. Here you go. Something to eat. I know the training is tough, and this place could easily be called a training center. He endures torture, but he keeps fighting. It's the only way to survive. Here's some food. You can sit here for a while until you're ready. Thank you, ma'am. Are you much kinder compared to the other superiors? Now it's my job to eat. Midoriya busied himself eating dinner, and when she finished and went to her room, where she found us staring at the ceiling. Only everyone else was sent to their rooms. Their own rooms. They were not allowed in other rooms once it was bedtime. Hawks. Oh, you're back, kid. I didn't notice. What did the doctor say? He said I had. I was hurt pretty badly. I broke 3 ribs. He told me I had to get stronger. To survive here and practically everything you told me, Midoriya sighed. Because it's common knowledge. You either die here or live long enough to leave. But we can never leave. If we will try, we will die. We will have to work like heroes and do all the tasks assigned to us. When we're older. What have I gotten myself into? Midoriya muttered. Soon you'll get used to this place. Considering you didn't die in the isolation chamber, you'll probably survive. In addition to everything else, you'll be a fighting machine by the end of this, just as he wants. The government. Midoriya looked at the tape recorder cable and let out a frustrated sigh. He wanted to say so many things, but he couldn't without being punished. Hello, boy. Midoriya turned to look at the Hawks. What? If you live long enough to be a hero and get out of this place, Can you promise me that? Will we still be friends? Yes, I will. Okay, then please. Don't break the... I promise, like the others. The others? Those who died before you. I won't. Okay. Well, I'm going to sleep. We'll need it for what we have planned for tomorrow. Okay. My gorilla. He got into bed and fell asleep. The next day in class. Good. You kids, you're competing against each other today. Whoever loses will have to do extra cleaning. For a whole week, so they'd better fight hard. Last week I taught you the basics of combat. You were supposed to practice in your free time. The Matrix too. He trained in the isolation chamber. They will fight one-on-one. His opponents, they have been chosen for their strength level, not their age. Which means that it is possible for a child of age missing to perform the following tasks. Fight with one of them. You already know the rules, and if you accidentally kill your opponent, it's their fault for being too weak. Now I'll start listing their names. If you don't pay attention, you'll be surprised. The superior shouted. He began to list who he was facing. Migorilla was worried. He had learned some. He had basic combat skills in the isolation chamber, but that was about it. Those around him had a lot more experience. I didn't want punishment or to die. Soon, everyone was paired up. First match. Matrix and Demon. Put on. In a line. Migorilla approached quickly, hiding his fear. In this place, the fear was a weakness. If you showed it, they would take advantage of you. So he hid it as best he could. Demon was a child of a certain age. His quirk was thermal speed. Basically, he could use flames to accelerate his movements. With those same flames, he could inflict damage. It was a strong peculiarity. Start. The demon attacked Midoriya without restraint. He wanted to kill him. Midoriya triggered the glitch, and he stopped its power. I want it to be slower. It would make my job easier, he thought. Midoriya. Suddenly, the flames that were accelerating the demon turned into ice. His movements became slower and more confused as he managed to move to try and fight Midoriya. Midoriya didn't know what was happening. He knew Sukirk was responsible, but the doctor never told him that Sukirk could do that. However, he wasn't willing to waste the opportunity to win for free, so he gave her a. He kicked the demon in the side of the head, knocking him unconscious and deactivating his power. Matrix. You never said your gift could do that. The doctor never told me it could. I'll let it go for now. But if they lie about anything, they'll be punished. Return to the line. Demon was taken to the infirmary to be treated while Midoriya was walking towards AUX. It turned out the doctor hadn't told Midoriya everything you needed to know about his quirk. It turns out Midoriya's quirk could cause him to fail and do the contrary to what was expected, as shown in the fight. You did it. Good. AUX commented as he approached. Now it was his turn. He was playing against a boy of years. He had a powerful peculiarity called a laser. She could fire lasers from any point on her body and change her size. Start. AUX didn't give her time. He gave his opponent time to think and immediately struck him with a swarm of feathers. He knew that speed beat strength. He knocked out his opponent in an instant, winning immediately. The AU wins. Align with the rest. Wow. AUX, you beat him really fast. I know. Speed beats strength. The training never stopped. As the years passed, Migorilla cooled off. He never showed his emotions. He was also known as the lead dog. Everyone knew they shouldn't. They messed with him even though he was only a few years old. He knew how to fight, how to stand up for himself. He himself had perfected the use of his gift and was a practical killing machine. AUX now had the same power as Toya. I'm getting tired of this place. It's been years since I've enjoyed such a delicious meal. Toya groaned. Same here. If I could leave, I absolutely would, Midoriya groaned. While eating her garbage, Toya had become distant over time. He was still hanging out with Oxy Midoriya, but there was something strange about him, as if he were plotting something. Sucker never helped him either. His flames burned him too badly, resulting in third-degree skin burns. Purple, which she covered with bandages. See you all. Today is my exam day. To see if I'm eligible to go to UA. Toya stood up, her face grim. You'd better go in, she joked. Assistant. Yes, yes. That was the last time they saw him again. See. All they received was a note from their superior saying it hadn't happened, and he ended up dying because Surg burned him to ashes. AUX and Midoriya were. They were distraught, but showed no reaction on their faces. The reaction was punished. That's what happens when you're weak, the superior hissed as he walked away. Midoriya was outraged. He wanted to kill all the superiors, but he couldn't, given the circumstances. I guess from now on it'll just be you and me. Ox sighed, a lump forming in his throat. He wanted to cry. Toya had been with him since childhood. They had been sent to this. They'd been through hell on the same day and had been through the same thing. They were inseparable best friends. That broke him. Midoriya. She checked her drawer and took out a pair of scissors. AUX was confused. What was she doing? Midoriya? After that, Midoriya lifted a floorboard and turned off the electricity in his room. AUX and I didn't even know that was possible. Hawks, send at least some of your feathers. Well, Midoriya manipulated A's feathers so they would move beneath him. They were failing due to A's peculiarity. Midoriya flew with him, used the scissors, and cut the faucet cable. What are you doing? Are you going to get us caught? No. I've been studying about the faucet wires in the library they gave us. And what if you first disconnect the power to your room, and then you cut the wire? No alarm should go off. So why are you doing that? They'll find out eventually. No, they won't. They have no evidence to convict us, Midoriya replied as he flattened the wires. Cut. It floated down, and she put the scissors in the drawer. She grabbed another one of AUX's feathers and examined himself. AUX had no idea what he was doing. You need to let go some emotions. Maybe I can't, but you are holding them back. Tears, Midoriya remarked, pointing to a spot under his arm. You're years old. What do you know? Enough of that library, so I don't have to be chained to this horrible facility for the rest of my life. He spat. Midoriya stabbed his arm. Alk looked at him in dismay as he ran his fingers through the cut and he was taking out the tracking chip. Are you crazy? H. I have a plan. I'm not going to leave you behind either. You're going to get tested, right? As Midoriya explained, he grabbed some bandages and covered his arm. He put it away. The tracking chip in my pocket. I had a plan. Well, yes, but I made a plan. For us. I'll keep training here to be as strong as possible. If you're going to. Once you finish, you'll be able to train as a pro hero. I'll go to UA 2 years after you leave. I'll train even harder there. When the time comes to be a hero alongside you, I'll destroy my tracking chip and yours. From there, we can escape this place forever, Midoriya explained. It's smart, but what if you get caught? Will they send you back to the isolation chamber, or worse, to the prison? Torture? Hell, they could even execute you. I've considered all the risks. You don't have to worry about me, AUX. I'll be fine. I won't break our promise. Are you sure? Yes. Now get ready. Even if you go to A, you'll have to come back here at the end of the day. From there, they can show me what they've learned so I can get ahead of the class. Can I use this training to help others escape? Can I? Can I help them? Midoriya said as tears stung his eyes. During the 3 years he was there, He witnessed many deaths, some. He had to kill them or they would kill him. It was like they were wild animals. You either killed them or they killed you. Or they'd kill you. He hadn't seen his mother in a long time, and after killing 5 people, he felt he had lost everything. Sanity. AUX hugged Midoriya. You're telling me to cry, but it seems that you need to cry too. Warm tears streamed down AUX's face. Just like Midoriya's eye. I made this plan. It will help abolish this system. Finally, we can save future generations. Current generation. I know, friend. I heard you loud and clear. AUX walked away from. Midoriya wiped her tears. I'll listen to your plan. If it goes wrong, I'll always. You can escape. Remember, we're doing this to save people. Midoriya doesn't want revenge. Do you understand? Midoriya looked at the ground and bit his lip. He wasn't making this plan to save people. He gave up on the idea of being a hero a long time ago. He wanted revenge. Understood. Midoriya sighed. Good, now let's go to sleep. You have an exam tomorrow, and I have to start at 1 tomorrow, AUX said as she walked away and went into her bed. Midoriya looked at AUX sadly. I'm sorry, AUX. I know I promised you that we would be friends until the end, and I hope we still are, but you and I are going to end up taking 2 very different paths. Different at the end of this. Midoriya got into bed and fell asleep. The next day, AUX wasn't in class. Midoriya didn't even have time to see him in the morning. AUX was in a hurry so as not to be late. Midoriya put away. The tracking chip was in an inside pocket that he sewed and sealed himself. He didn't want to risk it falling out. He was aligned with his class. However, instead of the usual room, they were inside a arena. Midoriya already knew what that meant. Great. It's a bloody battle to the death. I wonder what. I'll have to kill the child. Everyone already knows what this place is and what it's for. So, line up against the wall and prepare to be called. Remember, don't hold back. Whoever loses will die for default. Even if the opponent doesn't kill the other, we will kill them ourselves and it won't be painless. So, do your opponent a favor and finish him off in this arena. Do you understand? The superior. He smiled. Midoriya glared at him, unable to control his anger. How? Is this a listed hero recruitment agency that trains them? We're here killing people. Matrix and Plasma. You're the first match. Get in line. Midoriya sighed and entered the battlefield was being prepared. He knew about Plasma, and Plasma wasn't easy to defeat either. His peculiarity. It allowed him to send a sticky substance made from his own blood to his opponents to stick them together and leave them immobilized. Plasma would usually be the one trying to annoy him. However, despite the fact that Plasma was older, Midoriya was much stronger. Begin. Plasma charged the substance. Sticky and tried to send it to Midoriya, but Midoriya threw it under his Plasma feet, leaving him trapped in his own mess. I'm sorry it has to be this way, he says, but the less I give you, the quicker I'll give you a quick death. Midoriya used more of the viscous substance that Plasma kept expelling to cover it completely. With that, he froze the gift, freezing it inside him. Midoriya sighed and grew angry with the gift. His intention, warmth. During his training, he also learned that Midoriya could decide what he wanted to happen with a quirk, since his quirk allowed him to. It allowed him to fail at quirk completely. It could practically change his chemical buildup entirely. Like a failure at a game, he ended up cooking Plasma in his own viscous substance. Matrix wins. Plasma is dead. Let's move on. Other rounds began while Midoriya simply watched. He no longer cared about who survived or died. If they didn't survive this part, they wouldn't survive what their superiors had planned for the next few years. They would die anyway. And after losing Toya, he couldn't find in his heart he has a desire to help people. He's bloodthirsty. He wants to see his superiors dead. He doesn't care if the guys in the prison get free. It's his responsibility to escape after the superiors die. What he wanted was to bring hell upon those who tortured him. Soon the ordeal was over. It began with people. It ended with, AUX wasn't in class. There was an odd number of students. People had died since the first time Midoriya was brought in, and no, they didn't bring in any rookies afterward. Midoriya was the one who killed those 5 people, all during the battles in the arena. It seems you will all be the next generation of heroes. They've survived longer so far and fought more battles. Okay, that's it. We eliminate all the weak ones. You're free for the rest of the day. Remember, practice your combat skills. The class dispersed from there. From that time of day onwards, Midoriya felt like going to the library to read. She needed knowledge. After 3 years of dropping out of school, he struggled to understand. That's why he learned alone, since the books contain knowledge from preschool to university. Midoriya learned to pronouncing the words while listening to their superiors and relating them to the word that sounded the way it sounded, judging the letters. Because of all his studies, Midoriya was very intelligent for his age. He had 10th grade knowledge when he was supposed to have 2nd grade knowledge. Their superiors knew it, but they didn't care. If anything, they wanted to encourage it. Midoriya's reading habit is a big part of his life, because the smarter someone is, the better hero they become. That's why they bothered him when he was alone in the library. A also liked to read. Not as much as Midoriya, but enough to be smarter than he's supposed to be. If I had a notebook, my plan would be easier to remember. I just wrote it down. But it's a bad idea to plan how to escape in there. I doubt the superiors won't take a look. If they discover my plan, I'll have to go ahead and abandon AUX, which means she'll get punished, and that's not what I want. High school. I'll go to UA and train there. As soon as I'm sure I'm the one strong enough to defeat the superiors, I will destroy the tracking chip we carry inside. Both I and AUX can bring one more person with me if they get too close, so I should be able to take her and escape. But where to? And I don't think it would like my idea. I wonder how Mom and Chan are doing. If I ran away with them, I'm sure they would find and kill Mom. Ugh. This is too much for my little brain. I'll worry about this more. It was late. AUX should have returned from the tests. Midoriya closed his eyes and headed towards her room, where she found AUX pacing patiently back and forth, waiting for Midoriya. Matrix! AUX shouted. Yes, I'm in. Great. Yes, now. You're one step closer to your plan. Hawks, remember I'll be taking you with me. Yes, of course. Aside, Midoriya exhaled sharply as he climbed into bed and went to sleep. He had spent the entire day in the library, and it was already night. More years passed in the facilities, and Midoriya had not only become stronger, but also smarter. He could come up with a plan in seconds and know instantly it could go wrong. Ouchlu. He taught new movements for the part of the job he was assigned to sharpen his mind. He had already graduated, and he was rapidly rising as a pro hero. It was Midoriya of Wrath's turn. He was already a killing machine. So I knew I wouldn't fail. Matrix, it's your turn to go see if you're eligible. Come with us. Midoriya nodded and followed the 2 superiors to a random room. The room had a thick glass window to see through, but the rest was all cement. Okay, Matrix, to see if you're eligible, you have to fight one of the superiors. The superior fights you based on your strength level. It won't be based on percentage. If you fail, you will die. Now, good luck. The door closed. Behind Midoriya, another door opened, revealing which superior he was fighting. It was him. Teacher, let's see if you can pass. I hope you don't end up like your friend, he said. The superior spoke with disdain. Migorilla didn't react to the comment, but he was furious. He wanted to punch him in the face. He was so strong that it collapsed along with the rest of his skull, but it couldn't. At least, not yet. The superior attacked Midoriya without restraint and used his quirk called Clay. He could manipulate the ground around him. Migorilla sighed and froze Kirk for complete, letting the upper one crash into its own wall. Midoriya then made the clay fail to wrap up the superior. It had happened. Well then, well done. You are eligible to go to UA. Remember that the superior wasn't fighting with all his might. And if he had wanted to, he could have. They killed you on the spot. Things are going to change a little for you. They'll hand you over. They will bind your neck to reduce suspicions of torture outside. You will not be able to speak. You will be punished for what happened within these premises. Understood? Understood? Good, leave the room, but first free the superior. Migorilla removed the clay, and out he came out. They removed his collar and handed him the uniform. You start this Monday. Let's go! Migorilla reached his room with difficulty and stayed looking at the universe. It had been a while since I'd seen AUX. Not since she started her career. As a hero, he no longer had to live in the facility. After all, he was an adult. Midoriya. She sighed and placed her uniform on her nightstand. Monday would be the next day. She made a pocket with. He zipped up the inside of his uniform and inserted the tracking chip. He wouldn't be wearing his usual gray uniform. The next day. Next, I was ready. It was the first day for everyone. I hadn't seen the outside world in years. Facility guards escorted him to the administrative healthcare unit. And from there he was. Alone. His neck was still slightly raw from the collar, even though it had already healed and it itched quite a bit, but he held it in. The last thing he wanted. It was a scar. He walked through the hallways and found Class A. He went in from there. Take your feet off the desk. It's disrespectful to those who came before us, shouted a teenager with navy blue hair. And who are you to tell me what to do, eyes? Shouted a familiar blonde. Bakugo. He had entered UA. Surprisingly, Midoriya fixed his multicolored eyes on white and went to take a seat when suddenly Bakugo noticed him. Hey, Deku, how? You arrived here? I haven't seen you since. Bakugo was interrupted. I'm not in the mood to talk or mind your own business, Cathan. Leave me alone. My little dove hissed, took a seat and he stared at the wall. What? What's wrong with you? First you stopped talking to your mother, and with me, the 4th year you were there, and now you come back like this. Who do you think you are? Bakugo sent. An explosion was about to happen, but Midori was already prepared. The explosion failed, and he rewound it to the moment when it wasn't happening. Nothing. It's not the time. Get it? TSK, you'll explain it to me later. Midoriya. She sighed and rested her head on her arms. She looked around the room and saw someone familiar. She had multicolored hair and eyes, as well as a scar on her left side. Migorian didn't know who she was exactly, but looking at him, I could swear I'd seen him somewhere before. Soon the professor arrived rolling in a sleeping bag. Hello class, I'm Sho Taiwa. You will call me Mr. Aizawa. I'll be your classroom this year. You'd better bring everything you got. You'd better give it your all, he said. Aizawa. She took off her yellow robe and stepped onto the podium. The class remained silent. He was silent and listened. Okay, today's first day won't be like at other schools. Since I'm your teacher, and this is what it is, I decide what happens to all of you. Now put on your gym uniforms and go out onto the field. We'll do a test to see your current strength, Aizawa announced. It seems it's going to be exactly that. just like the superiors. Migorilla stood up, as did the rest of the class. He found his uniform. She put her gym clothes in her assigned locker and got dressed. She stored the tracker in the zippered pockets of her gym. Finally, she didn't have to sew anything. She managed to get out and discovered he was the first to get dressed. It turned out that the training at the facility allowed him to get dressed quickly. He waited for the class to arrive, and when it finally did, it was time to begin. You got the highest score in the entrance exam. Throw this ball as far as you can using your gift. Iza pointed at Bakugo. Well, Bakugo grabbed the ball and threw it. Die. Meters. The class was stunned. This is going to be hilarious. A girl with pink hair. He cheered. It was Mina. Izaba smiled. If you think this is all fun and games, you're very wrong. You have years here to become a pro hero. Things aren't going to be easy. Playing time. Whoever scores last will be sent off immediately. The class gasped. Can he do that? Oh no. He's just like the superiors, threatening with power. Nothing I'm not used to, I suppose. He will die with them. Midoriya sighed as he began the exercises, astonishing the class with all her skills. It wasn't her intention. She just knew that if he wasn't giving it his all, his superiors would punish him when he returned at the end of the day. Then the moment the ball was thrown, he was the last person. It's as if he were a machine. It perfected everything. I know. Who is it? Does it have parents who are professional heroes or something? It's like the government specifically trained him. Whispers were heard throughout the classroom as Midoriya stretched and caught the ball. If I throw this to the farthest cloud, that should to be the farthest throw. We don't have all day. Please throw the ball. Migorilla threw the ball and it malfunctioned before it even left the fault range. Wow, that was a technical glitch. Where did it go? The ball? That's why his eyes are like that. He showed Izaba how far he threw it. 1,000 kilometers. What? The class said in unison. Migorilla, unperturbed. He returned with the crowd. Now that everyone's been counted, I'll show you all their rankings. Midoriya finished in first place. Bakugo was next, and so on. However, Mineta came in last. They're not going to expel anyone. It was just a trick. Logic to encourage them. You can have lunch. See you this afternoon. Izaba walked away, allowing the social class. Midoriya had a whole crowd in front of him. I thought the weakest. They should be expelled. Strange. He's not like the other superiors. How did you do that? What's your quirk? What's your name? Are you receiving government training? How can you be so confident in your score? How did you get a Midoriya to escape? He hated being around people. My name is Izuku Midoriya, but call me Matrix. That's what people usually call me. I know who you all are, Glitchmig ones. You'll have to figure out what he's doing. They'll see for themselves when I give them a demonstration. That's all I'm going to reveal. Goodbye. Midoriya walked away, leaving the students stunned. Midoriya had overheard their introductory conversations during the class when he originally arrived. Because of this, he wasn't worried about socializing. However, he didn't know the name of everyone. Just when he thought he could walk away without any problem, Bakugo decided to attack. He charged at Midoriya and he tried to kick him, but Midoriya had quick reflexes. He spun around as he walked, dodging Bakugo's leg and kicking him in the chin, making him fall backward. Wow, Midoriya sighed. It was only the first day, but he had already captured everyone's attention. He didn't want that. Bakugo had an ego. He was wounded and unwilling to let Midoriya go so easily, so he unleashed a powerful explosion. Midoriya groaned. Kaken, can't you have peace? I'm not the same person I was when He was years old. He used Bakugo's quirk, froze him in midair, and decided to scare it away. By changing the chemical composition of the explosion, it turned into water. He corrected himself and let the water splash from Bakugo. How did he do it? Is that what? What does Swan do? He's so strong. What the hell, Deku? Bakugo yelled. Midori had already. It was over and he vanished. He went to the locker room, changed into his usual clothes, and went to lunch. We have a food option. This is new, huh? I'll have a bowl of soup. Here you go. They're all so cheerful and friendly. All this has to have a trick. No government official would be kind of their own volition, least of all at the OAT. Toya died because she didn't pass the exam. The food is probably poisoned so that when I return to the facility, they can make me sick. But everyone else is eating, and they all look perfectly fine. And he prepared the food right in front of me, and it doesn't look like he's done anything wrong. Poisoned? Nothing. I'll have to ask AUX. There's no way they'll give us a decent meal. Midoriya took the bowl of. She ordered soup anyway and headed to a random table. The center had provided her with a phone, but unfortunately, everything was being monitored. But Midoriya was really smart. After studying intensively in the library, he discovered how to restructure his phone so that the superiors, they thought they weren't seeing anything suspicious while he was actually doing what he wanted. And then he sent her a. I texted AUX even though I knew he was busy. I logged in. Okay, the food is poisoned, right? After a wait of minutes later, Midoriya finally received a reply. Congratulations. You're one step closer to completing your plan. Surprisingly, the food isn't poisoned. Try it, it's delicious. Okay, I'll try it. Midoriya tasted the soup hesitantly. The flavor danced in. His mouth moved as he savored the incredible food. It had just the right amount of everything. It felt like she had just eaten a piece of heaven. Her eyes lit up with joy as she began to devour the food faster than ever before. Hey, Matrix, why don't you calm down? Friend? The food isn't escaping, said a lanky, red-haired teenager. Ajo. Kirishima. Midoriya had already finished before Kirishima could complete his sentence, surprising the small group of teenagers who lined up to sit with him. Kirishima had brought some friends, people too. She randomly chose students from her class with whom she thought she'd get along well. Denki, Kaminari, Shoto, Todoroki, Katsuki, Bakugo, and Altasero and Midoriya were seated at the table. Midoriya had already finished eating, so he stared blankly. Every time Midoriya got distracted, it was obvious he was failing instead. Are you okay, Matrix? Your gift is failing, Kaminari asked. This brought Midoriya out of the picture from his reverie. Oh, I hadn't noticed. This always happens to me when I dream. I'm awake. Anyway, you with half red, half white hair. What's your name? Me. You sound. Shoto Todoroki. Midoriya felt his heart clench as he opened. Her eyes widened. It was Toya's brother, the one she always talked about. She felt. Sadness and anger overwhelmed him as memories flooded his mind. The situation worsened so much that his failings, they intensified. Matrix, 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 react. What? What happened? Did he just tell you his name? Why did you get so angry? Zero asked. Well, I was going to see Midoriya. It's a personal matter. I can't explain it. You're a weirdo, but I can't judge you. I'm Denki Kaminari. Mine is electricity. Ah, that makes sense. It fits with the electric hair clip. Yes, I can. I can shoot electric shocks, but I don't have good control over my gift. It just does. Whatever it is when I download it. Midoriya hummed in response. It would be the first to die in those facilities despite having a powerful gift. If you don't have control, that's what happens. They bother you because you're the weakest link and you end up dying like everyone else. It's the first time I've met someone with a personality like hers. She's strangely cheerful, just like the redhead. Most people are. Like Toya's brother, stoic and emotionless. These people are strange. They don't know what to show. Emotions are the easiest way to die. You're failing again, Matrix. Accept it. Lunchtime was soon over. Everyone was sent to their classrooms where the classes. Okay, class. For this class, choose the class president. I'll give you. That's fine as long as everyone's sure it's what they all agree on. I'm going to sleep. The superior isn't that serious as expected, sleeping during class. And he shouldn't be the one deciding who leads the rest of the class. She's usually the one who can repel the entire class and emerge victorious. AUX used to always be the class leader, so why are things so different here? This place doesn't follow the same curriculum at all. First act, people are allowed to show emotions. Then there's tasty food. Third, the superior isn't serious and doesn't. It imposes punishments. And now people are actually allowed to have a choice. It's so different. And why? Does everyone want to be president so desperately? Usually, the class leader is the one who works the hardest, the most. Stress is received, and the one who receives the punishment for the mistakes of others is punished. I don't understand it. Elect me. I want to be president of the class. I would be the perfect candidate. I'm the best choice. Class, relax. We should all take a bite out of someone strong, intelligent, and someone we can all trust. Class president is an important position. Tinnitus shouted. Dude, everyone. We know you want to be class president as much as the rest of us. But he's right. Let's all vote. Midoriya ended up winning with votes. No, this is awful. I don't want to be the one punished by these emotional freaks. Matrix, looks like you got the part. Take your place and make an announcement. Aizawa sighed. Midoriya reluctantly stood up and made his announcement. He decided to say something similar to what Hawks usually say. Thank you for choosing me. I won't disappoint you, but more. They're willing to give it their all. I don't like being held back because of others. The keys. Goodbye. Midoriya stepped down from the podium and returned to his seat. The class was dismissed. A deafening silence followed his monotonous announcement. Now that you've chosen your delegate, we can continue. You may leave. Home. Aizawa yawned. Midoriya quickly gathered his things and left. He had to wait for his guards. They wouldn't let him into his house. However, before he could reach his guards, someone stopped him. Katsuki Bakugo, Deku! Bakugo shouted. Midoriya sighed and turned to face him. The sun shone in her multicolored eyes as she stared at Bakugo. What? Kaken, your mom, you know. How many times did she come to my house crying? All because of your selfishness. Why did you leave? And why did you stop writing to your mother and me? Midoriya sighed. You haven't. I've been talking to myself since I was years old. Whoever you saw wasn't me. I can't say what happened, but let's just say it wasn't pleasant at all. I didn't choose this life, but that's how things are. I'll tell everyone that the government kidnapped you when you were a child, and you won't tell me everything that happened there now. That's right. Go ahead. I'm sure they'll figure it out soon. The public already knows. The only thing is, they don't know what's going on inside. Matrix, it's time to brief the facility. A guard appeared next to Midoriya. Good. Bakugo stared, confused. These strangers had just appeared and were now telling him to return to a facility. Then, suddenly, after a mistake, the three of them left. What did you say to him? You leaked some information. You know what the punishment is for those who spread information, right? I didn't tell him anything else. I didn't tell him anything new about what happened here, Midoriya replied. It seems you're telling the truth. Okay, go back to your room. Midoriya walked away and sighed. He had no one with him. Whoever speaks. I should train. Time waits for no one, and if I go further, slow down, everyone else is going to go faster. Midori spent the rest of the day training. However, upon returning from the training room and heading in her room, she got an unpleasant surprise. She had a new roommate. It was a little girl between and years old. She had cherry red eyes, wore a white dress, and had long blue hair, silver and a frightening look. It also had a horn on its left side. The head. Who are you? He asked, looking at her. Suddenly, the speaker of the room lights went out. This is your roommate, Eri. She doesn't have. She has no control over her gift, so they force her to use a gift canceller. However, she is strong. They put her with you for 3 reasons. We know you won't do anything to her. You can stop its quirk if something goes wrong. And your room was the only space that we had left in this upper section. If you try to harm the girl in any way, you will be severely punished. That's all. I'm not a fool like that. Don't do anything weird to him, idiots, Midoriya yelled. He knew they wouldn't hear him. The recorder cable was destroyed a long time ago. Midori sighed. It's like I do. Years. Poor thing. Kei, who are you? Izuku Midoriya. What? Call me Matrix. Looks like you've been thrown into hell just like the rest of us. What's your story? How did you get here? After my gift appeared. My mom? She didn't love me anymore. Then these men took me. Well, that's not right. What's your quirk? Rewind. What can you rewind? I can rewind. Peculiarities. Living things. Oh, a dangerous peculiarity. Great. Well, that won't be a problem with me. A couple of tips to help you survive this place. Stop stuttering and control your quirk soon. You don't want to find out what happens if you don't. Why? What? Midoriya sighed. Let's just say it's not pretty. How old are you? Modify for the purpose of, or are you really like me? Well, Eri, good luck. They just put you in the worst possible place. Jail is better than this place. Kyuk, why? He said, dismayed. Because at least in prison, they don't torture you, beat you, or force you to becoming something you don't want to be. Tomorrow they'll implant a chip in you, since it's your first day, and after that you'll be here. Forever. No, please help. I didn't want to. None of this. I didn't want to kill my dad, but why would Mom do this? Tears began to stream down Eric's face as his horn glowed faintly with a light. Golden. Oh, you've killed before. At least it won't be new to you when the time will come. What? Go to sleep. Things will explain themselves with the passage of time. I'll just tell you to prepare for the worst. And whatever you imagine, that's not even true. It's worse than you can imagine. I won't be around either. I have to go to the OA during the day. But hey, with such a powerful gift, I don't think people will interfere a lot with you. Midoriya got into bed. Don't cry. This place doesn't like them. Emotions. Show any and you'll be punished like everyone else. There are no. You get special treatment here regardless of your age or whether you're a girl. They're tough. With everyone. Refer to coaches as superiors if you don't want to get hurt. Midoriya left her with that note. Finally, she went to sleep. When morning came, the loud alarm went off and Harry jumped out of bed, completely terrified. An alarm. What's wrong? She shouted. Relax, it's just the morning alarm. It means it's time to start the day. I'm going to the bathroom to get dressed. Here's your clothes. Knock on the door when you're done. Midoriya took his uniform from the chimney. tracking. After going into the bathroom and getting dressed, Eri also got dressed and told him that she had finished calling them. Door. I'll guide you, since it's your first day. Migorilla extended his hand. Why? What will you do for me? Migorilla sighed. If I don't, you'll die. Besides, you remind me of myself. If I don't do it, my superiors will punish me. Let's go now. We can't be late. Eri didn't want to know what would happen if they were late, so she took his hand. Midoriya left. He accompanied her to the cafeteria and made her breakfast. The food wasn't very good. Good stuff here, but you'll have to accept it. Don't make friends, they'll die. I have to go. Good luck. You'll need it. Midoriya walked away, leaving Eri alone. Even though he knew it was a bad idea, he had no other choice. Survival of the fittest. If he's not in shape, he won't survive. It's that simple. He went upstairs, finishing his breakfast on the way. Since he was new, he needed some basic instructions and explanations. Then she'd go to school. Okay, Matrix, as you know, that girl is now your roommate. You'll show her around, give her the basics, and explain how things work. I suppose you've already talked about how the punishment system works. His gift is strong, but yours gives you the ability to manipulate virtually all the gifts. You will be responsible for training her until we can match her with the rest of the sect, the superior explained. Migorilla kept his head down and his gaze on the ground. He couldn't make eye contact with your superior without being punished. Understood, sir. Good, now go to the... Your teacher already knows where you come from, which means you have an advantage over the rest of your class. Because you are, as a government official, you have power over the class and the teacher. However, we have power over. So don't let it go to your head. Now go. Understood, sir. Migorilla snuck off to school. Government official nonsense. What you really mean is government article. Government killing weapon. A weapon of mass destruction. I'll kill them all. When Midoriya entered the building, he couldn't help but overhear rumors. I already knew what had happened. The news that he was an official of the government had already spread like wildfire. Things didn't improve when he got to class. The Matrix. You're a government official, Kaminari shouted. Aizawa had not yet entered class. Migorilla groaned. It makes sense. Those sickly movements scores. Their perfection and personality speak for themselves. Kirishima laughed. He wasn't trying to be rude. Todoroki walked in. He came through the door and approached Midoriya, concerned. He had questions. Did my brother train with you? He asked. Midoriya. She sighed. Yes. How do you know him? Where is he? What happened to him? No. Did they tell you? Migorilla was interrupted when Aizawa burst in. Collapsing. Relax, class. We have important business today. Migorilla addressed. He took his seat and listened to what Aizawa had to say. Today will not be like other days. Instead of teaching the class myself, Aizawa was interrupted by a famous person. I'll teach the class today. Ha ha ha, Mig shouted. Migorilla's eyes widened. He usually got excited when he saw to someone he admired as a child, but he wasn't happy at all. It was Mig's fault that the installation in the which is funded. Is it their fault that the facility has such extreme training? It is their fault. The facility even exists to begin with. It wasn't like Ulm had opened it. No, that's not the case at all. Ulm was innocent. The government was to blame. The government looked for multiple Ulmics, strong people, and powerful peculiarities. That's why they opened the facilities and implemented the most rigorous exercises possible with the strength of Ulmic as the main target. Ulm didn't know what was happening inside the facility. He relied on things. She had heard good things about it, and that's why she financed it, like all the other professional heroes. I had no idea. Olm is teaching this class today. Everyone's with him. Good luck. Aizawa walked away. Ha ha ha. Put on your hero costumes and make way for the beta. Land! The excited class shouted. They grabbed their hero costumes and ran to the training room. Midoriya's government-provided suit was perfectly tailored for her body. Tone and strength was black with fine red, blue, and white stripes that ran across the torso and legs. It was made of bulletproof material and had multiple pockets and compartments. Secrets. His suit provided maximum flexibility while also it ensured muscle stability and optimized performance. Everything was technology. Midoriya put it on and placed the tracking chip inside one of the snud pockets. He headed to the beta ground class. They all look impressive. Look at those suits. I see a bright future. Ha ha ha. I'll explain how this exercise works. Training. They will be assigned to pairs, and within these pairs they will be either the hero team or the villain team. The villain team must protect a secret weapon somewhere in the building. The heroes must get to the weapon. The villains must do everything they can to stop the heroes. They can capture them or distract them. The minutes to win. However, the heroes have to reach the weapon before the minutes run out in order to be able to win. Now let's move on to the pairings. Izuku and Shoto Todoroki. You're in the group A, Denki Kaminari Yanto. You're in group B, Katsuki Bakugo and Tenya. You're in group C, Eijiro Kirishima and Fumikage Tokoemi. You are from group D, Mina Sido and Momoyo Yorozu. You are from group E, Ochako Yurikaitsu Ajui. You are from group F, Masiro, Ojiro and Kajikoda. You are group G, Yuga, Oyama and Metso Shoji. They are group H, Toro, Agakura and Kaio Kajuru. You are group I. And finally, Rikido Sato and Minoru Mineta, you are from group J. Now that all the teams have been announced, we can begin the first round. The letters will face off against each other. Yes. Team A versus Team C. Team A versus Team C. Almig announced. Midoriya groaned. Great. What a way to start the day. I know Kakin is going to. He gets really angry when I tell him to calm down. This is bullshit. The team. Team A will be the villain today. Team C will be the hero. Added him, Midoriya. Todoroki headed to the beta zone and the weapons room. Okay, Todoroki. I have a plan to win. What is ice? Cover the building with ice. I can. Do the rest. Oh, okay. Bakugo and Ida had already entered the building. Where are you, Deku? Bakugo shouted. The shout echoed through the hallway, causing Midoriya sighed. Soon, ice covered the entire building. Great, Kak. Chan and Ida have heat-related quirks, so I wouldn't be surprised if they exploded, but there is. Where do I come in? Midoriya continued as he activated the glitch. Todoroki was confused. What was he doing? Midoriya? Midoriya caused the ice in the room he was in to grow in thick layers and cover the weapon. Todoroki was as surprised as the rest of the class who were watching. How could he have so easily manipulated the Todoroki's ice? Alright, I'll do it. Now to make their climb even harder. Do you really think this ice is enough to stop me? Bakudo shouted. As I was emerging from the ice, but suddenly the ice turned into a viscous and sticky substance, very difficult to get through. Bakugo found it difficult to get through. How does Matrix do that? Kaminari asked, amazed. It's like it has multiples peculiarities. You need to explain your peculiarity, Karissima added. You should. Let me explain why young Matrix can do that. You see, his gift glitch allows him to do anything with a gift. For example, if Todoroki were to throw flames at the young Matrix, he could do the following. Rewind him, turn him into ice, turn it into whatever I want, pause it, slow it down, speed it up, and control it. I may have skipped over something. Some things, but generally that's what Sudden allows him to do. Besides teleporting, everything could explain it. What a strange peculiarity. Now I see why he's a civil servant. From the government. Beating this guy is going to be literally impossible. What? How? Did you do this, Deku? And why doesn't it affect you? Bakugo yelled as Midoriya headed down the hall. Pay attention. Beware of the sticky substance. It's a flaw. I've modified the... I have the gift to make you do what I want. That's why you lost before you even entered, Midoriya replied as he approached. Maybe. He's stuck, but that doesn't mean Min is, Bakugo shouted as he unleashed a massive explosion that... It could kill someone if I didn't dodge it. Midoriya sighed and paused. Kaken, do you really want to go? Like this? If I go all out, you could die? So to be safe, I'll just use my full power. Midoriya moved the explosion and compacted it into a small ball. Then he put the ball in his hand. What demo? How demo? It's not that you're weak, it's just that I'm too strong. For you. Midoriya threw the mist ball at Bakugo, and it covered his face. He had altered the chemical composition of the explosion and turned it into a sleeping gas. How could that not be fair? Bakugo. He fainted, just like Ida. They both fell into the viscous substance, which disappeared once Midoriya heard. The bell rang to announce that he had won. Well, that's all. Midoriya sighed. As he approached Bakugo and Ida, he slipped away with them to the room where all the MIGs were gathered. Begin the lesson analysis. Matrix, how did you do that? Where did you go? What was the sticky substance? How did you transform the ice into whatever it was? Midoriya groaned as he threw. Bakugo and Ida were tossed around like sacks of potatoes, shocking the class even more, since throwing a person without using no kind of quirk, just pure muscle power, it required a lot of strength. For them, Midoriya was the definition of casual force. Todoroki also entered the room. I'm not even going to question him. It's just his gift, he remarked as the door closed behind him. Look, since I'm fed up with all your questions, I'm going to explain how I did it right now, but you won't be able to do it afterward. No questions. Understood? Midoriya said. Understood, the class said in unison. Everyone wanted to know. My giftedness basically allows me to modify a gift, whatever it may be. I can change its chemical composition and structure at will. That's why Todoroki's ice. It transformed into a viscous substance, and Kaken's explosion into a soporific gas. I'm sure they already explained what else Min can do, and you saw it in the demonstration, so I'm done with the explanations. Understood? Why are you calling Bakugo Kin? Interrogation of. Close. Midoriya groaned once more. I met him when I was years old. Before. The government will take me away. At least the government arrested you when you were years old. The class shouted in unison. It was enough to wake Bakugo and Ida up. Okay, class, that's enough of that. Questions for Matrix. Let's review the round. Who do you think was the MVP of the four? Almost. Sir, I think it's really obvious. Graz Kaminari is Matrix. He devised. To the building. He captured the heroes without resistance and ensured the weapon remained protected even if he didn't. He was there to actively protect them. He made sure to use a plan instead of resorting to brute force and forcing his way through like. I had tried, Bakugo, Yaoyorozu said. Hey! Bakugo shouted. He felt offended by his last comment. Even though it's true. Well, you're absolutely right. Let's move on to the next rounds. My gorilla looked at his. There's nothing to do after the practice session. No training. This place looks nothing like the facilities. Normally, after a planned team exercise, we need to train and practice the fight on our own right after to make sure we get the best possible training. If this place is connected to the facilities, why is it so different? Oh wait, I know that. Even though the Hero Admissions Agency is publicly known, nobody knows what goes on inside. The UA isn't exactly the same because of the fact that the children have a different way of being to publicize what happens inside the place. If they tarnish the reputation of the AU, then the reputation of the agency will be damaged. Heroes Admissions also gets tainted. UA is like pretty wrapping paper you put over a bomb. Time to deceive people. I wonder how Eri is. Something tells me that it's not going well for him. Migorilla sighed and continued watching the other rounds. After all that, it was time for lunch. Migorilla found himself sitting with some of his colleagues, the same as yesterday. However, Todoroki had a very important question to do to Midoriya. Before Midoriya sat down, Todoroki touched his shoulder to ask him, "I have a question. What happened to your brother?" "Right. Well, he and I were friends." "I don't think so. That he cares if I tell you the result of his total dedication to his gift. The government wouldn't care either, but the look on your face tells me you already know what happened, based on the fact that I told you it was a percent." Sighs. Midoriya. His body was never built to withstand his 100 donation. Dead. I think your father already knows. He probably didn't tell you so as not to interfere with your training. Toya told me your father would be the type to do that. Todoroki stared at Midoriya. Anger, sadness, and guilt surged into Todoroki's heart as he held back tears. "If it makes you feel any better, he talked about you a lot when he was still here." "When?" "When he died, when I was years old. Now I am, so you could say it's been a while." "A few years, and he didn't know." Todoroki left furiously, unable to bear the news of her brother's death. Crying, "I understand they were relatives, but not even." He didn't even spend time with him, because Toya was on the premises the whole time. He was just telling stories from before of his arrival. This Todoroki was just a baby in all those stories. What? It's strange to show weakness in front of others. Crying is often seen as a punishment. There wouldn't be. He survived in the facility. Despite having a very strong dual quirk, Midoriya thought as he sat down. What? What's wrong with Todoroki? He seemed upset. It's personal family matters that I have the right to share. If you want to know, ask him yourself. My gory already? There was a new food I wanted to try. Sushi. It was the first time I'd seen that strange roll of rice, seaweed, avocado, and raw fish. I didn't understand why they didn't cook it completely, but he didn't care. He put a whole roll in his mouth, and soon the flavors filled his mouth. This is better than yesterday's soup. He began to devour it, surprising everyone at the table with how quickly he ate. He was able to eat and remain so tidy at the same time. He managed to finish just in time because an alarm went off. Security breach, immediate evacuation. The alarm blared. To Midoriya. The loud doorbell didn't faze him. It sounded just like the one that woke them up. Every morning he went out to see what was going on. Uproar. It's true that Almig is teaching you here. It's true that you have a student from the Hero Recruitment Agency training here. Let us interview them. Aizawa and the microphone present grunted as they tried to clear the hundreds of news reporters. How did they discover? What's going on? Midoriya asked as he approached Aizawa. Matrix, didn't they? Do you assume you're out here? Aizawa said, surprised by the boy's sudden appearance. I can be in anywhere. Anyway, what's the problem? The reporters present before. They sighed at the microphone. Oh yes, that's all. So why? Did the alarm sound saying a villain was attacking? Because somehow they managed to get through the main door. They destroyed the door. Interesting. I'll ask them to leave. They're here for you. They want to interview you. I don't think they'll pass up this opportunity to question you. Yes, but I can pull out the letter saying I am a government official. So too. Unless you want to go to prison, leave. Good point. Present microphone. Can you unload a little of your quirkiness? HM. Why? So they can hear me. Weird, but oh well. The current microphone emitted a pulse of sweat. Migorilla quickly manipulated it to amplify his voice. Hello everyone. If you don't leave the campus right now, the police will come and arrest you all. Midoriya shouted. That's the kid from the Hero Admissions Agency. This isn't. It's not a red carpet walk, not even for the press. Grab your things and leave. There's the door. This is not a joke. The police will show up at each of your houses if you don't. You leave home. Migorilla started the countdown. People didn't want to take any risks, and quickly began to move away. Once they were out, Migorilla used where the microphones were present, and turned it into a large wall. He fixed it to the missing main door. That should be a temporary solution, so no one else comes today. I'm leaving. Migorilla began to walk away, leaving Aizawa and the microphone present astonished. At the end of the day, Migorilla slipped away to the facilities and his room. He found Eri beaten and crying. Migorilla was unmoved by the sight. She sighed, walked to her side of the room, and sat on the bed. What happened? I thought you couldn't go to training until I showed you everything, Midoriya asked as he took out his phone and he began to examine it. He and the other children during breakfast. My face. It hurts. Eri cried. Your gift is rewinding, right? You can rewind too. Same here. Not other things. What a drag. But I suppose I can change that. Temporarily. Remove the bracelet that cancels the quirk. My quirk will get out of control. I'm here. He won't. But just do it. Okay. Eri reluctantly removed the bracelet, not even seconds after her horn began to emit the golden rewind. It seems you can only rewind living beings you touch, considering I haven't. I'm gone. I'm going to modify your gift, find out your production level, and use your gift to heal you. Okay. Help. Midoriya sighed and activated the glitch. The golden rewind slowed down and became a steady stream. Eri. He calmed down. Then, Midoriya used that rewind and rewound area to when she was before she had the injuries. Now replace the quirk canceller. Eri put on the handcuffs and the stream. It turned off completely. My face doesn't hurt anymore. But my gift was created for hurting people. It's a curse. Your gift is useful in medical practice. No. I understand why you were sent here to become a hero. A hero with that gift is difficult, since he has to do it. Also, the other heroes don't get hurt. So why are you here? That's strange. Nothing makes sense lately. And your gift isn't a curse. You can use it to save people on the brink of death by rewinding them. You could cure cancer with that. Be careful with that gift. If you don't try hard enough here, you could be transferred somewhere else. What do you mean? A gift. Being so useful could bring these greedy pigs a lot of money. They wouldn't want you to die. So if you don't try hard enough to pass and become a hero, they'll put you in a science lab. And they will experiment to turn your gift into a pill that reverses people's diseases. They can do. That's it. They can do whatever they want, at least for now, as long as the public doesn't. Knowing they're free to do whatever they want is awful. I already told you that. This place would be awful. Now go put on your workout clothes and give me a few minutes. Return. Midoriya got out of bed and left, leaving Eri alone to change. Midoriya failed in the main hall of the top sect. The highest sect received special treatment from the government for being the strongest, but it wasn't a sufficient reward considering the torture they were subjected to. The sect's upper class liked to hang out in the main hall. However, they were all mean and selective about exactly who could sit with them. You could call them the popular kids in school. Secondary. They felt a strong aversion towards those with a high potential to become stronger than them, which meant they didn't like Midoriya or Eri at all. "Which one of you hit the girl?" he asked. Midoriya's voice was filled with anger. He didn't like people who acted like superiors. It infuriated him. "Maximum." I knew why they were getting involved. I was weak at that moment. They were acting like it. The superiors would do that. Not to mention that Midoriya wasn't going to let whoever it was get away with it. Eri was beaten, and thus got rid of him simply because he was stronger. Eri was new and didn't know how to defend herself. She didn't deserve to be hurt or attacked. It was an unfair advantage. And what's it to you, Matrix? Just because you're the leader doesn't mean you can bother us if I'm one of them. It's new. You didn't even give it a chance. But oh well, that makes sense. They're so weak that, of course, they go after someone with greater potential. Midoriya let out a smile. Malicious. She was mocking them. She knew exactly what she was doing. Hurting their precious egos. You think we're afraid of you? We'll defeat them all. The time. Oh, that makes me think it was all of you who decided to torment the new kid. It was. And what? You know how the government works here. I can kill you all and I won't care. I'll get you into trouble for the simple excuse that you're all too weak. The government also considers the girl a valuable resource because of her powerful gift. They could get into trouble if they tried to kill her without a special order. They know the government has favorites and those favorites are not allowed to be killed without permission. The girl, she arranged to become his favorite thanks to her gift. They could be sent to the torture chamber. Oh, Midoriya did. A pause to let out a chuckle. They could fight me and die. It's their decision. Don't trust the person who decided to hurt you, because I know who they are. No, they're stupid enough to attack someone on special orders. So who did it? Or would they rather go to the torture chamber? What are you talking about? I'm the one who did it, so what? And if the girl has a special request, I don't care. Fight or get beaten. I don't care. That nonsense of special treatment matters. The others sensed the threatening atmosphere that suddenly arose. Midoriya was furious despite his obvious smile. It was pure rage. You're wicked. What are you smiling about? Do you have something to say, boss? Why don't you tell him? My dad? The boy froze when Midoriya suddenly moved from his spot right next to him and gave him a. He was punched so hard in the face that he flew across the room and crashed into the wall. The others, they backed away. It wasn't very often that Midoriya decided to fight someone, and it was rare to see the teenager get angry. So much so, a crack the size of a human was left in the wall when Midoriya approached the guy who was sliding down. What's wrong with you, tough guy? Couldn't you mess with someone from your size? People like you know how to annoy me by acting like they're superior. You're not a superior, you're a cockroach. A disgusting opportunist who picks on newcomers for no reason. That his ego wants to grow. You disgust me and you will die. But after he sends you the camera of torture, Midoriya spat. He was so angry you could see fault lines in the air. Quickly, Midoriya had punched him so hard that he broke his nose and he knocked out one of his teeth. He grabbed him by his gray shirt and dragged him to the superior's office. He left his friends in complete silence. They knew they shouldn't mess with Midoriya. He was strong enough to face them all and kill them if he wanted. They also knew they had to keep going. The higher order. Eri was under special orders. That meant that until she was trained to integrate into regular classes, they shouldn't bother her, since she couldn't yet take care of herself. It also meant that at that time she was a favorite of the government, as she had great potential. Future if he trained properly. Midoriya knocked on the superior's door and he came in. What do you need, Matrix? Last time I checked, you were supposed to be. He's training the girl who arrived yesterday. the superior asked. He was her coach. Yukio beat the girl until she was a pulp, trying to kill her, even though he was under orders. Special? He did that. I thought I had specifically ordered that it not be. They messed with that girl, but I guess not everyone can obey orders anymore. Matrix, put him in the torture chamber. The guy in Midoriya's grip shuddered at the superior's voice. The superior had gotten angry, which was never a good thing. I'll do it, sir, he said. Midoriya, walking away just outside the torture chamber. Go away, scum, he said. Midoriya smiled as he threw it into the room and closed the door. After that, Midoriya returned to Eri, who was waiting patiently. I'm sorry I took a while. I was just dealing with some things. Midoriya sighed as he stroked her head. There's blood on you. It's time to go train. Follow me. Midoriya held out his hand to Eri and led her out of the room, towards the training room. The training room had a lot of things, but that wasn't what Midoriya needed it at that moment. Well, from what I can see, the first thing you need to do is gain muscle. We have exactly 1 week to get you on this scale. Midoriya pointed to a scale. He stepped on it. Well, for your age, you weigh quite a lot. Just a little. Only a few kilos. By the end of this week, you should be able to lift. Losing half your own weight can seem like a lot, especially considering. Keep in mind that you have years. But if you don't, you'll have to go through solitary confinement, and that's much worse than any training your superiors give you. I know that, Midoriya explained. Eri nodded. With my head, I'll start with the stutter, and then we'll begin with push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and squats, you understand? No, I'll prove it to you by copying. So Midoriya spent the rest of the afternoon training Eric to gain muscle, and at the same time teaching him some basic fighting skills. It would be enough to defend herself against people her own age if they ever mess with her, but it was useless to try against the more experienced ones. At the end of the day, Eri was sore and could barely move a finger. Not even. We couldn't even start Doni's training. Are you already tired? I suppose we can. We'll worry about that tomorrow. Let's go back to the rooms. From there you can shower, get dressed, have dinner, and go to sleep. Okay? Alright, time jump. More. Late that night, Midoriya lay in his bed with his gaze lost on the ceiling. Eri was fast asleep in the dark room. Midoriya sighed. I can activate. I force the KIR people with the fault when I'm angry, but it results in a worse reaction compared to when I overuse my quirk. I discovered this when I got angry with that guy for hitting air, and I noticed that everyone's quirks in the back were involuntarily leaking out of them. I shouldn't use it too much. This migraine is the worst. I feel like my head is being banged against a wall and my stomach hurts. Ugh, not even a painkiller will help, Midoriya thought as he slowly drifted off to sleep. The screams from the torture chamber. They echoed on the ground floor of the building. No one beyond that point could hear them, so no one was aware of the pain that man was suffering. The next day, instead of class of being an A, they were standing right outside the A. They went inside and were surprised by what they saw. Multiple lots, all for different types of training exercises. Hi everyone, I'm years old, and today I'm going to tell you. I'll help your teacher with her classes. A professional hero in an astronaut suit applauded them. Remember class? This is rescue training, not combat training. Listen to what he has to say it. Aizawa sighed. As you can see, we have multiple ways to train. Just look around you, he added. Wow, they even have villains. Fake. Wow, they even have fake Polanos, exclaimed Kirishima and Aizawa. They turned their heads sharply to see a gang of villains appear through a purple teleportation door. Back off! Those are real villains. Evacuate them with him, Iza shouted as he was launching an attack. Hey, he's not going to send us to fight them. This guy is a very superior officer. That's strange. Usually, our superiors send us out when things aren't going well, and they just sit back and do nothing. Maybe it's not like that. Superior. It seems he really cares about us, seeing how he got here. I suppose he won't have to die with the others, Midoriya thought as he fled with the class. However, as soon as they reached the gate, the villain of the warp gate, Kurojiri, appeared before them and trapped them in a dome with its peculiar warp. Sorry, little ones, but I can't leave. Let them go. They would disrupt our plan to kill Almec, Kurojiri laughed. Everyone back, Midoriya shouted, approaching the number and sighing. I've got it. Everything's under control. I'm a government official, so don't worry. You're still a child. He opened a black hole and tried to absorb Kurojiri. Midoriya sighed as he activated the glitch, causing Kurojiri's warp gate to move away and it will revolve around Kurojiri. What's wrong? Why don't I have control over my body? Kurowar asked, confused, as Midoriya threw him across the room, missing. I told you to let me handle it. Now take the class and leave. I'm helping Mr. Aizawa. Midoriya se. He escaped before I could stop him. Are we really going to let Matrix do that? Kaminari asked as he ran off with the class. He's a government official. Probably. He went through something harder than this, Kirishima replied. Keep going, we have to ask. Help! Midoriya shouted. He reappeared next to Aizawa using one of the thug's peculiarities against himself caused a shield to emerge from him. Matrix, you shouldn't be here. I assumed you were supposed to evacuate with the others. Aizawa shouted. Look at that thing. The leader sighed. It's all muscle. You'll die. The weakest always do. These people are here to destroy everything. They won't hesitate to kill anyone who gets in their way. Furthermore, the government wouldn't want me to escape, Midoriya replied as he shattered the shield dome with a shockwave, which shocked the villains surrounding them and gave Azaba an opportunity. I'll take care of them. Go. Are you an idiot or something? Don't disrespect me or anything like that, because you're my teacher, but you'll die fighting that thing. Watch out. Aizawa tried to block a cabin heading towards Midoriya, who was standing in the middle of the fight. But Midoriya was surprisingly quick. He moved aside with difficulty and reappeared next to the bully, who tried to kick him. Then he punched him in the chest so hard that he broke the bones in that area. Aizawa's eyes widened in surprise. Nomu attacks the troublesome brat. The leader blurted out, League, Tomura Shigaraki. The Noma lunged at Midoriya, but he had the upper hand. Because the Noma's muscle was the mutation of a gift, he could manipulate the Nomu to do his bidding, and he did. The Nome. He stopped. The fault lines moved spasmodically around him as he remained frozen in midair. Look, Mr. Aizawa, if you didn't do that, we'd have this beast attacking us. What? How did you do that? Shigaraki shouted as he lunged at Aizawa. He thought. He said that if he couldn't defeat Midoriya, he would defeat the luggage. Midoriya lunged at Aizawa and then pulled him away from the path was glitched. Shigaraki ended up falling face first to the ground. They don't represent. They pose no threat if they can't move. Many of them have peculiar mutations, so it's easy. Manipulate them. Those without mutations are frozen due to their own mutations that I have already mixed with superglue, and that prevent them from moving. We're safe, Midoriya explained. Kid, you're messing with our plan, Shigaraki shouted. Midoriya sighed. And you're getting in the way of training. Take your thugs and leave, Midoriya hissed. Aizawa remained. He looked dismayed. He knew Midoriya had received government training. He was strong and intelligent. But just how strong was it exactly? His gift had just frozen more than 100 people, including a beast. Muscular. You're trouble, brat. I don't know what your gift is, but I'll kill you with mine. Shigaraki spat as he charged at Midoriya. Suddenly, before he could reach Midoriya, he was shot. Everyone turned to see the pro heroes lined up at the gates, including someone special. They started shooting at the villains. Kurojiri had to escape with Shigaraki to survive, leaving the thugs and Nomu behind. Good job evaluating the situation. However, you're still a child. Don't act out for your own good again. Count, Aizawa warned. Other pro heroes came down to arrest him. The thugs and escort the Nomu. They had to ask Midoriya to fix them up so they could move them. So, he helped with that process. He received a couple of compliments from the pro heroes, but he felt a little disappointed. The only person he wanted there wasn't, or at least that's what he thought. I thought so. Hey kid, good job out there. You make the heroes look ridiculous. Professionals. A familiar voice. Midoriya turned around in surprise. It was him who he thought he was. Hawks. Midoriya exclaimed, his voice full of surprise and a slight joy. The class stared at him. How did he know a professional hero? They were related. Midoriya hugged the Hawks and the Hawks returned the embrace. I haven't seen you for 2 years. You've become shorter, AUX joked. Well, for your information, I've grown a good few centimeters, and I'm still growing. Midoriya sighed. I know I'm only just kidding. No, but seriously, great job. You made our job so much easier. I heard that. Someone knew they'd put him in my place. Is that true? Yes. Midoriya. He continued having a conversation with AU while the class stared in shock. Out talks to Matrix like he's a celebrity, Kaminari pointed out. They're like best friends. Do you think he's known Matrix for a long time, since he works for the government? This is the first time that I see Matrix showing some kind of emotion, even though it's so slight. I wonder how Matrix knows AU. AUX. He's the fastest hero, and is climbing the ranks like it's nothing. He started in what was already a high position, and has already. I've reached the top. I'm jealous. First, she's strong. She has a very distinctive characteristic, and now, meet celebrities. I want to be a government official. It's not fair. They don't have. I have no idea what they're saying, huh? He remarked with a sigh. Yes, if they knew what was going on inside, their answers would change very quickly, Midoriya replied. Well, buddy, I gotta get back to work. See you later. AUX waved goodbye to Midoriya and left, flying, dragging a group of captured thugs with its feathers. Midoriya returned to the rest of the class while taking attendance to return to UA, but due to the interruption, they simply couldn't stay there. Matrix, how do you know AUX? Out treats you like you know him from his whole life, and that professional hero barely stops to talk to anyone. He's too fast. Matrix, come on. Tell us how you know him. It's because you're a government official. I'll be government official if that means I'll be able to see all the professional heroes. Midoriya groaned and scuttled off. Despite being on the bus he headed toward, he waited for them to enter the classroom while he took a seat and enjoyed the silence. Idiots, they don't even know one. Because of what happens in those stupid facilities, and they want to be government officials because that means that you'll see professional heroes. They have huge egos and seem desperate. I wonder how they would react if they found out what goes on in the facilities. Well, the world will know soon. As soon as I get proof without me. If they catch me, I'll escape with the others and have a safe place to be where I don't have to worry about being tracked. I'll do it. I'll report it to the government. Well, kill them. They deserve to die after everything they've done. What have they done? After killing so many children, making us kill so many children. To become killing machines. I can't wait until the day I can look at them without having to hold back and simply kill them in the most painful way possible. Midoriya's train of thought was interrupted when the class came dancing in. Oh, I found it. With a quirk like that you can escape from anything. You're very lucky, Matrix. How lucky? You just teleport? At least you could have answered some of our questions. Relax, class. What? Matrix decides to share with you. That's their business. Don't pry so much into their private life. I have a couple of announcements and you can go home from here. Now sit down, Aizawa sighed. The class. He quickly calmed down and took a seat. Well, as everyone saw today, the villains attacked. Matrix, what you did was risky and stupid. Don't. It doesn't matter if you're a government official or not. Acting like this without warning can harm others. Moving on. Today's battle is not the last. Izuku paused, instilling a sense of fear in him. What did their master mean? The sports festival is coming soon and everyone needs to train hard. They have. That they give it their all. This festival not only gives them the opportunity to compete with other classes, but also it gives them the opportunity to be seen by hero agencies as individuals, not as a group. They must strive to the fullest to get the best internship. The festival is the week coming this Monday. Get ready, Aizawa concluded. And with that, everyone, they were free to return. Midoriya returned to his room on the premises and was surprised to see E crying again. Didn't his threat from yesterday work? However, looking at her more closely, she wasn't beaten or injured. Her hair was cut in a messy style and the sound was choppy. Everything was uneven. What happened this time? Midoriya sighed. He and the others, kids them, get a haircut. Ugh. If they were going to do that, they could at least